Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Jesse. This is the Auditorium. I react to video game music for the first time as a musician myself, and today is the return of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. This is me listening to another batch of songs before I start Chapter 3, and so I don't know the names of these, and all I can tell you right now is that these are requested both by NX. Thank you very much. Also, the only person that's going to be watching this for a while, so bit of a private video. You guys publicly won't be watching this until I'm done playing, so it's going to be a while. And we're just seeing how I feel about the songs currently before I finish the game. So again, don't know the names of these. I did just hear two really good songs, and that's really exciting. So no pressure on these ones. Let's go. We are starting the first song now from Xenoblade Chronicles 3. A song for the off-seers, perhaps? I feel like this is the most emphasis I heard on the flute so far. One thing I love about flutes is you can hear the player breathing in. Every song in this game sounds so cinematic. Everything sounds like a cutscene. I'll say this though. If a flute is involved, someone's passed. So are we 07ing right now? Gosh, reminds me of Journey a little bit. This one has a more specific sound to me than just sending off. It sounds a little point of view. It sounds like what I would hear as I'm being sent off. Maybe it's in my spirit, like leaving or something. It feels really personal to me. Like the last song I hear before I turn into the ether. I just had an idea. I have two main thoughts on this one, just two. The first one being, I believe I only heard one main lead flute in that one. At this point of the story, I've met two off-seers, and whenever like a moment happens, sometimes they play together, they harmonize, and you have like a higher octave and the lower octave, and they're doing their thing. Sometimes they play the same notes, sometimes they play counter melodies. This one for the most part sounded like one, so yeah, I don't know. It's just like one thing I noticed, like maybe only one is performing it. Second thing is I'm starting to maybe guess what's happening with these requests in general. And it's just a guess, right? I won't know until later. But it's just a guess. I feel like when I got requests for 1 and 2, Xenoblade 1 and 2, it was just a mixture of good songs and notable moments in the game, which is 99.9% of everything else I get on the channel. But with Xenoblade 1 and 2, I definitely had like town themes and stuff like that, you know. In 3, I don't know yet, but in 3, it feels like maybe the requests that I've mostly have been given have been significant moments. Because everything feels like, at the moment, it feels like cutscene music or really important events. That's the only way I can put it. Everything sounds like it's trying to make me cry or to feel quite a bit, right? And in this case, flutes that's what they do in this game. So I don't know. Maybe Xenoblade 3 is just filled to the brim with like cutscenes and big moments, and that's what people are sending me, is like these kind of notable moments. That's my guess, because I would say like 80% of the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 stuff I've heard has been very atmospheric and very just not town theme sounding, not day or night sounding. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of melodic push, and it's very much a slow, drony, emotional thing. So far, early on, I should say. Maybe the last chapters are just like, who knows? You know what I mean? I'm just saying, again, without song titles, without knowing what's up. Only thing I know is that I have to hear these before I start chapter 3, and that's as vague as it gets. You know what I mean? But it's just a guess. It's just a guess. Maybe this game just resonated with a lot of people as far as story and cutscene, and that's what they're sending me. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Is there? Wait, hold on. Oh, there's one more song. Silly Me. That feels so like finale to me. Not the end of the game, because I'm pretty sure this is not the end of the game, based on when I'm hearing it. But the song gave me such a departure that I thought I was like ending the video. I was getting ready to like say my goodbyes. But then we have another song. So let's see what can follow that. Again, I do not know why these two were paired. Nothing. Or if they're even related. This is the next song from Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Again, immediate atmosphere of just sad. Okay, these two are definitely related. Yeah. Don't tell me this is a town theme. This is... I mean, it could be. Clarinet. Man, there's a lot of piano in the soundtrack. There's a lot of piano. These are not complaints. I'm just noticing a lot. Maybe that's why the last video stood out to me so hard. The last two songs I heard before this had drums in it and percussion, and I feel like that's missing a lot from the soundtrack. But also those last two songs were one of the few that didn't have flutes in it either, so it's really nice though. Like, don't get me wrong, this is all still like very beautiful music. It almost feels like I shouldn't be listening to these, if I'm being honest. Whatever's happening here is definitely something like to connect the audience with the game, and I don't have that connection. I feel like 3 soundtrack might be the most context required one. That's what it feels like to me. Okay, based on this ending right here, I don't think it loops. That was like just like a proper ending. But they did both feel related to each other. What I mean by me not shouldn't be able to hear it is, for example, I know a lot of like emotional songs. Some of my favorite music in video games is stuff that sounds very similar to this. I should say that, by the way, just so you don't get any odd ideas. My favorite video game song of all time sounds pretty close to this. So keep that in mind with what I'm about to say. With that knowledge, it'd be very odd to me to like show it to someone else, because as beautiful as my favorite song is to me, they wouldn't really get it. They would maybe just, oh, this is really nice, cool, yeah, not knowing the torment and pain and tears that all came before it, you know what I mean? Which amplifies it tenfold. So I get it. I'm aware of what's happening. I'm aware of, like, I've been doing this now for a little while, and almost any song that I do here can qualify for what I'm saying right now. So I get it. I know that I'm like lost with all of these. But I feel like with these 2 songs, and specifically Xenoblade Chronicles 3, it almost feels, like, maybe that's why it's my least favorite soundtrack so far of the 3. And remember, least favorite doesn't mean bad. It just means least favorite. I think that's why it's my least favorite soundtrack so far, is because the soundtrack sounds more story focused this time around. And you're just kind of meant to be there. That kind of thing. Which, let's be real, that's every game. Every game, the developers, the composers are making it for the game. And while it's cool to experience video game music outside sometimes, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like I shouldn't be listening to this. Like, I feel, not that it's bad. It's just, I think you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, to kind of like counteract when I say stuff like it's my least favorite, that is why. That's why. Whereas, I've heard people say that this is their favorite soundtrack from Xenoblade 3. And now I'm considering that what they just mean is it's their favorite story, or just their favorite game, and or whatever's their favorite, what have you, and then it all combines into the whole emotional package. So that's all it is. And I just want to say, just based on me saying all these things doesn't mean like I stamped it forever, and I'm gonna just think this way for the rest of all the reactions and the rest of the game. All these reactions are just like in the moment, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna hold grudges or feelings. I just treat every song completely different, because I have no idea if they're related, why they're paired together, when they play, whatever. But to me, overall, it's been a couple weeks now of hearing Xenoblade 3, and it's just a lot of ambience, slow piano, flutes, which remind me of death now, and very little percussion. There's percussion like gongs and like what is it called, chimes and stuff, but there's no like, there's no grooves really. And I think that's why the video before this one stood out to me a lot, because it had that groove. So yeah, that's the only reason I'm saying it's like my least favorite. I just think it's really, really story focused. And the final thing I'm going to say is, since there's so much emphasis on flutes, and now I know what the flutes are about, I feel like these two songs were like someone just died. You know what I mean? And if that's true, if that's the case, then of course I'm not going to connect to the song whatsoever. So here's a good thing about my audience, which is you. A lot of you know this stuff, and you don't need to be explained. A lot of you are my age, or close. Everything I just said was basically for like just the new person that might have just stumbled into, and they're like, why isn't this person praising my soundtrack nonstop? So you all know what I'm going through. You all know that I'm very busy. You all know that I'm doing so many things all the time. But it's also a very extremely rare case that I'm even playing a game on the side, let alone hearing music from it before I play it myself. You know what I mean? Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is such a unique thing in my life. Anyways, that's it. Very beautiful music. It reminds me of my favorite song of all time. So that's something. But if I were to share that song with you, you probably wouldn't connect with it. And I think that's what's happening here. I feel like this is a really important moment. And to me, it feels like this logo that's what that song sounded like to me. You know how like those little particle effects are drifting off, like the off-seer stuff? That's what that song felt like. Though both of them, they felt like extensions of each other. They felt like cutscene music. They didn't feel like they looped or town themes or anything. Anyways, I'm just rambling on. Thank you, NX, for the request, and thank you to everyone you see on screen. I couldn't be here without them. You are watching this months after I have finished the game. The playthrough is right here, and I will see you there. Let's see how I feel later on. My name is Jesse in the auditorium. Peace.